So we have heard about the potential of Yoshihide Suga becoming the next prime minister in Japan and how that would mean a candidate of continuity, whether it's for the Abenomics economic policy or domestic policy in general. What does that mean, though, for foreign policy?
Good morning. Thank you very much for having me. I think if Mr. Suga becomes the prime minister, and it looks almost certain, it means continuity in foreign policy as well.
What does that mean for the U.S.-Japan relationship? Because we know that Prime Minister Abe has done a good job there, despite the challenges that he's faced from the Trump administration.
Well, I think U.S.-Japan relations will not change because of two reasons. One, Mr. Suga has been Chief Cabinet Secretary with Mr. Abe for almost 8 years. Chief Cabinet Secretary means like a Chief of White Staff in United States. So he has been the sort of the engine in the Abe administration. He will not change. The second reason is that even if the leader changes, we cannot afford to change the policy with our posture with the United States. Being surrounded by North Korea, China, and Russia, U.S.-Japan relation has to be always the cornerstone of our foreign policy.
And in fact, of course, Mr. Suga has pledged the furthering and the commitment to that alliance. What does that mean for the relationship with China then, particularly coming at a time where U.S.-China relations have been deteriorating and is really expected to do so even after the U.S. election?
Well, you have hit the right point. A lot depends on U.S. Policy after the election. If we see the platform or Mr. Biden's statement, U.S. policy towards China and others will make a very big difference from now, because he's saying that he will not engage in futile Cold War, or he will not engage himself in tariff war. And I think the atmosphere will change. I think Japan's position is that the most important relations is U.S., but we'll try to keep relations with China as the biggest trading partner as well. But it doesn't mean that we are sort of sandwiched in between. Our weight or will be on the U.S. side very clearly, because we have security relations alliance with the United States.
Right, and of course, one of the threats, or I suppose one of the complications to that relationship has really been President Trump's demands that military partners contribute more. Japan has been very firmly opposed to that, and that has resulted in some tensions. Do you think, if it does turn out to be Prime Minister Suga, that he has the ability to be able to navigate these tensions and these negotiations when it comes to the military issues?
I think so too. And if you look at the Democratic platform, they say that it was not right for the Trump administration to have asked South Korea to increase dramatically their burden as well. So I think the Democratic administration will change the policy. And with the Trump, even if Mr. Trump remains, I think we'll negotiate and come to agreement. Usually, very frankly, what Mr. Trump says in the beginning is not always the outcome that we will be concluding.
That seems to be the understanding among people who negotiate with this administration. But President Trump has called for a dramatic rise in the contribution of Japan, almost quadrupling what it pays to support U.S. troops in the country. And under the threat also of tariffs, auto tariffs as well. So how much have these issues already strained the relationship? And if the Trump administration continues from here for another 4 years, can this be reversed?
I think we can manage that. As you may know, about 3/4 of the cost of U.S. forces in Japan is already borne by Japan. And if we are to quadruple our cost, It means that we will be paying even the salaries of U.S. forces, and I think that's not logical or rational. That's not what U.S. People would be, or government would be asking. So I think we can come to some agreement if we start negotiations. I had negotiated with United States over this station of cost issue about 20 years ago, and in the beginning, our positions are different, but we come to agreement, and so I'm very optimistic about it.
You mentioned South Korea earlier. What about the Japan-South Korea relationship? Of course, it's been really strained by those export controls and differences on historical views.
I think, unfortunately, it has been not the best because of many reasons. And I hope that the change of government will be give some chances to improve. Maybe we have to wait till the Korean government to change as well. But at least this change in November, I think, will push towards a little better. I think Japan has to hang on to our agreement with the Republic of Korea in 1965, and we can't change it. And of course, we have territorial issue as well. But other issues, I think, we can try to come and solve those issues rather without too much tense. That's how I view it.
Ambassador, with trade being ever more important given the global pandemic-related slowdown, do you have any optimism or hope that if there is a change in the U.S. administration in November, that the U.S. may be possible to rejoin the TPP?
I am not too optimistic about that at the moment because Mr. Biden has been saying that before he makes United States strong again, he will not join any trade deals. And also, if he's going to make a trade deal, he has to have environment leader and labor leader aside. I don't know if that's what the Democratic platform says. So it may not come right away, but in due course, I don't know how many months or years it'll take, but I think it's good for United States. So I think they could come around, but maybe we should not expect that to happen right away.